At the outset, I pay my deep regarded homage to late National Professor Dr. Mohammad Ibrahim Sir. Today is his 31st death anniversary. Let us all pray for him. Present here, Honorable President Badars, Honorable Secretary General Badas, presenter of the current session, Dr. Vishwajit Bhomik, CEOs and organizations, moderators, respected audience, home and abroad. At the moment, the topic of presentation is, as moderator has mentioned, management of diabetes in COVID-19 pandemic. BARDA's guidance, the topic will be presented by Dr. Vishwajit Bhomik. Respected audience, customarily, I need to say few words about Dr. Vishwajit Bhomik. He has worked extremely hard, as we have seen, in preparing BARDA's pandemic guidance. It can be said that it is a product of his hard work. Dr. Vishwajit Bhomik has 39 international publications, 2 chapters in books international level, and he has 25 booklets and guidelines in his credit. He is a known, highly committed, dedicated, submitted personality. The blessings of Dr. Vishwajit are that he has been building up his career in close contact and under the shadow of Professor A.K. Azad Khan Sir. Obviously, the knowledge of Dr. Vishwajit will be enriched in a different way. Respected audience, not increasing my words anymore, now I do invite Dr. Vishwajit Bhomik to present his valuable paper. Respected audience, Dr. Vishwajit Bhomik.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your kind introduction. Good afternoon, everybody. The topic of my presentation is management of diabetes in COVID pandemic, BARDA's guidance. So we all know that the world is suffering from a pandemic of coronavirus, and people with diabetes are more vulnerable to the serious effect of the COVID-19. So considering all these issues, in the middle of the April, Diabetic Association, in association with Ministry of Health, especially the Non-Communicable Disease Control Program of DG Health, and JICA and Novo Nordisk, we jointly developed 2 guidelines, one for the healthcare professionals and another for the people with diabetes and other healthcare professionals. So in my presentation, I will try to give some key findings, some key issue from our BARDA's guidance. So in the introduction, so management of diabetes today has been addressed as an exciting confusions. So there is currently a considerable debate on the several important topics related to the most appropriate way to manage people with diabetes during this COVID pandemics. And the most important things, the data from the different countries gives some key issues related to the glycemic controls and its negative effect on the people with diabetes. So the lesson learned from this pandemic is different countries are very precise to establish the best approach to manage the disease. So in May, we published the 1 review papers in diabetes research and clinical practice. And till today, this is one of the most cited clinical papers in the world. And we titled our review paper is COVID-19 and Diabetes, Knowledge is Progress. It's because every day we are getting a lot of the newer information. So what I am telling today, in a few days times, you will see this may be the old information for you. That is why we title it, the knowledge is progress. So we all know diabetes recognizes the pandemic by the International Diabetic Federation and WHO in 1991. And finally, it's also recognized by the United Nations in 2006. And United Resolution on Diabetes declared that the 14th November as an event day for beginning the 2017. And this is a matter of pride that the UN resolution was sponsored by the government of Bangladesh on request of the Diabetic Association of Bangladesh. So diabetes is already growing a burden across the globe even before the COVID-19 pandemics. So it is in 2019 IDF reports 463 million people had diabetes, and top of this 374 million people had impaired glucose tolerance. The most important thing is half of the people are undiagnosed till now, and 75 people living in low and middle income countries, and 20% people with diabetes is above 65 years old, and it is one of the costliest disease, and 10% of the global health expenditure is spent on diabetes. So all the information is very important when we correlate the treatment and the management for the COVID diabetes. In Bangladesh, diabetes burden is also increasing. According to the IDF report, in 2019, 84 lakhs people had diabetes, and 109,000 people died from diabetes in 2019. But in reality, the number is already crossed the number projected for the 2015. In 2019, Bangladesh Bureau of Statistics reports 1.2 million people had diabetes in Bangladesh already. And in our BADAS report, 1 in 5 people are already in diabetes. And 1 in 4 women are diagnosed in the gestational diabetes. So what's about the glycemic status in Bangladesh? So is there another landmark study conducted by the Diabetic Association of the Bangladesh? If you see the slides, the overall glycemic control is not good in Bangladesh. The mean HbA1c is 9.8, fasting blood glucose is 11.4, and postprandial blood glucose is 16.2. So when we compare this, our data with the global data, so we haven't found any significant difference in all the glycemic parameters. If you see the 9.8 and the global, that is 9.5, and the fasting blood glucose is 11.4, and the global data is showing the fasting blood glucose, mean fasting blood glucose is 10.9 and 16.2 and 15.2. That means the overall glycemic control, not in Bangladesh, the overall glycemic control throughout the country is not controlled. So when you see the why diabetes, that the complications and death is high in the people with diabetes in COVID pandemics, so it will give some clues. So now come to the COVID. So is the history of, in the 3 months times, it declared as a pandemic by the World Health Organization, and in the March 11. According to the 5th September 2000 reports, 2.6 million people already diagnosed COVID positives, and 874,000 people died from it. And in Bangladesh, 321,000 people became corona positives, and total death case was 4,412. If you see the demographic information, compared to the global data, the confirmed case is high in the young and the middle-aged people, and the rate is high. The case and the mortality is high in the male, but the death rate have shown some positive association with the age. That means increasing age is associated with more death. Not only the peoples, the healthcare professionals also are at the greater risk. According to the 5th September report, 7,843 people, healthcare professionals become corona positives, and 82 physicians already died from corona. So what we should know, the people with diabetes are not more likely to get COVID-19 than the general populations. And people with diabetes do face a higher chance of experiencing serious complications from COVID-19. So that means the chance is equal, but the rate of the complication is high in diabetic peoples, and the risks are similar for the people with type 1 and type 2 diabetes. According to the different study reports, hypertension, diabetes, cardiovascular disease, and the respiratory disease are the more common comorbidities in the COVID-19 infections. And the rate of the prevalence rate of the diabetes in the COVID peoples is range from the 5 to 20%. And if you see why the people with diabetes are at high risk, if you see the slide compared to the non-diabetic, the clinical presentation including the fever, chill, chest tightness, shortness breath is low. So the people with diabetes are less symptomatic than the non-diabetic patients. That means it causes the symptoms is raised lately, and the people goes to seek for the treatments late, and when they go to the clinics, the rate of the complications become high. So if you see the slide, all the markers, the inflammatory markers include the C-reactive protein, serum ferritin, interleukin-6, dimers, and the biochemical markers are significantly high in people with diabetes, and the mortality rate is 3 to 4 times high than the normal population. And the study reports also shown that the deterioration of the glycemic control is associated with the negative prognosis in the COVID-19. If you see, when the median glycemic HbA1c report is 5.7, the mortality is 9.8. But when it rises to 7.5, the mortality goes up to 27.7%. So glycemic control is very important for the management and reduce the mortality morbidity from the COVID-19. Still now we do not have the big data in Bangladesh. One of the study conducted by the Professor Maula in Dhaka Medical College, according to their reports, hypertension, diabetes, chronic heart disease, chronic kidney disease, and COPD are the common comorbidities in COVID-19. And the fever, cough, breathlessness, fatigue, anorexia, diarrhea are the common clinical symptoms in people with COVID-19. So what are the links? The hyperglycemia is linked to the beta cell dysfunction. First, beta cell dysfunction is indirectly linked to the ACE2 receptor deficiency, and ACE2 receptor deficiency allows binding of the SARS-CoV-2 virus. And if you see the last information, the patient with poorly controlled diabetes may be more susceptible to COVID infection or complications. So when we think about the managing the diabetes during COVID-19, what are the challenges we may face? The first one, the patient have questions, but usual clinical appointments have been cancelled. Second one, the patient are afraid to seek help for the diabetes complication due to the perceived risk of COVID-19. And finally, the third one, the patient are feeling unwell but do not want to leave home. So what should be the solutions? So we can see the alternative treatment plans. So we can use the telemedicine to connect patient and the clinicians, assure patient it is safe to go to the hospital. Third, they encourage patient to call the clinic with any concerns and maintain open communication to help monitor for complication. Before going to the management, some reason of the glucose fluctuation in patient with diabetes and COVID-19 should know what are the factors may influence the glucose fluctuations. The first one is the irregular diet, reduced exercise, GIT symptom, etc. affect diet, resulting in the glucose fluctuation one. Second, on the stress conditions like the increased glucocorticoid secretions, it increases the blood glucose levels. The use of the glucocorticoids in treatment can lead to a sharp rise in glucose. There may be the interruption of the non-steroidal treatment with OAD. Third one, the fear, anxiety, tension may increase the glucose levels and induce glucose fluctuations. And the last ones, the inflammatory cytokines lead to extreme stress in some severe and clinical patients. Following the WHO and the national guidelines, Diabetic Association also give more emphasis in the prevention. The prevention at the healthcare levels, including the hospital and clinics, and protecting the healthcare workers, and the prevention at the personal level. To protecting the hospital and clinics dealing with the people with diabetes, there is some guidance from our guidelines. The first one, they have the triage systems. Second, they prepare a well-defined separate waiting area for the suspected cases, facilitate the hand washing stations, be alert for the anyone may have symptoms. The fifth one, that give the suspected patient triple layer surgical mask, limit the movement of the patient and restrict visitors, maintain environmental cleaning and disinfection with a good ventilation. So we also produced some posters in Bangla. Second, the protection of the healthcare. For this, the guidance from the BARDA's guidelines, train all the healthcare professionals, the using of the PPE. Second, the train to spot symptoms of the COVID-19. Third, on the proper training on the disease management. Isolate the suspected cases with some etiological diagnosis. If possible, use disposable or detected equipment and use of the triple layer surgical mask. Maintain hand hygiene and use PPE. Every time attending patient with COVID-19, do not touch eye, nose, and mouth without cleaning hands. Preventive measure at the personal levels. The first one is the wash hand with the soap and water regularly for at least 20 seconds. If soap and water are not readily available, use an alcohol-based sanitizers. Second was the cover nose and mouth when coughing or sneezing with a tissue or a flexed elbow. Then throw the tissue in the closed bin. Throw the tissue in the closed bin. Third one, the avoid touching eyes, mouth, or nose when possible. Use triple layer surgical mask. Disinfect frequent touch household object like door handle, switch. Sixth one is the maintain distance from the sick individual and who are in the isolation. 7, avoid public gatherings. What should be the general advice for the people with diabetes to prepare for the COVID-19? So people with diabetes should have contact information of the healthcare provider. So they keep their diabetes guidebook on hand, preserve large prescriptions, adequate stock of the medication and the supplies for the monitoring blood glucose, enough stock of the simple carbohydrate like glucose tablet, hard candies, juice, etc. to manage low blood glucose, and ketone stock, especially for the type 1 diabetes. This is the issues. This is the advice for the people with diabetes to prepare for COVID-19. The general management for the diabetic COVID-19 patients. So take diabetic medication as usual, should never be stopped without physician consultation. This is the most important, should never be stopped without physician consultation. Frequent self-monitoring with the blood glucose, drink extra fluid and try to age as normal. Measure blood weight every day It's because the losing weight is the indication of the sign of hyperglycemia. Check body temperature at least twice daily or more frequently if there is a fever. That's because a fever may be the sign of infections. During fevers, the people with diabetes should take the fluid plenty, at least 120 to 180 million every hour is required to prevent dehydration. In case of the symptom arise, the symptomatic treatment for the influenza-like cases, tablet paracetamol, tablet antihistamine, and steam inhalations. A specific management for the diabetic COVID-19 patients. So they will follow their previous dietary plans, but they should include the low glycemic foods and also include the fresh fruit, vegetables, foods containing vitamin C and nuts. And due to some policies, people cannot go to outside before or the beginning and the middle of the COVID pandemics. So the other things are changing, but at that time we encourage people for the home-based exercise. So they can go for the work inside the home, or they can use the cycles inside home, or the yoga inside home. And I will not discuss the medications, the symptomatic treatments, because in our guidance, we follow the national guidelines developed by the Ministry of Health. And we encourage all the issues discussed by the national guidelines. So in our guidelines, we encourage oxygen therapy to mechanical ventilations described by the national guidelines. But the most important thing in our guidelines, we discourage or we not recommend the chloroquine and hydroxychloroquines because they have the side effect, especially the risk of hypoglycemia and the risk of the cardiac arrhythmia. So we consider that is why we not recommend chloroquines and hydroxychloroquines in our guideline. So how can we stratify the people for home-based and the hospital-based care? Mild COVID cases, that is patient having uncomplicated upper respiratory infection with non-specific symptoms, they can be managed at home. But the people with diabetes, the clinical feature of the moderate, severe, and critical COVID-19 case should manage in the hospitals. And along with this, if the blood glucose more than 40 millimole, repeated measurements, ketone in urine, excessive thirst, vomiting or diarrhea persists for more than 6 hours, unable to take food and drinks for 6 hours, weight loss more than 2.5 kg during the illness, rapid breathing, abdominal pain, reduced level of the consciousness, or the coexisting serious morbidities, they should be addressed, they should be treated at hospital settings. So we also set up some glucose monitoring things, and both the type 1, type 2 diabetes without ketonuria, we encourage for 4 times blood glucose monitoring, fasting, and 3 post-meal blood sugars after breakfast, after lunch, and after dinners. The people with diabetes with ketonuria, we advise for 6 times blood glucose monitorings, all the pre and post meals. And this principle are to follow until blood glucose levels less than 10 millimole per liter and ketone dismiss or disappears. They will follow the SMBG rules. Now the treatment targets and the drug management of the diabetes with COVID-19. Following the national guidelines, we also staging the COVID-19 is the mild disease. That means influenza-like illness, we categorize in the mild disease. When pneumonia develops, we categorize in the moderate illness. And severe pneumonia, sepsis, ARDS, as septic shock, we categorize in the severe illness or the critical illness. For the mild disease, so we set up some of the glycemic targets. For the fasting blood glucose in mild disease, it should be 4.4 to 6.1 millimoles, and postprandial 6.1 to 7.8. In moderate illness, blood glucose, fasting blood glucose should be in between 6.1 to 7.8, and postprandial should be within 7.8 to 10 millimole. And severe illness or the critical illness, fasting blood glucose should be within 7.8 to 10, and the postprandial 10 to 13.9. If the fasting and postprandial is not possible, random blood glucose should be 7.8 to within 7.8 to 10 millimoles. Now come to the treatments. For the mild disease, treatment should be as ongoing. They will follow their previous medications, either it is OAD or the insulin. For the moderate illness, switch to supplemental insulin, and the severe illness and the critical cases should be the IV insulin infusions. Now comes to some specific recommendation for the individual medications. For the metformin, we not recommended in severe and critical patients, the patient with the gastrointestinal symptom or lack of oxygen, because there is a chance of dehydration, lactic acidosis. For the sulfonylurea, we also not recommended in the severe cases, and because it increase the risk of hyperglycemia, should be avoided in patient with severe illness. Adjust the dose according to the glycemic levels, and stop if unable to take regular food. For the SGLT2 inhibitors, not recommended in severe critical patients because there is a risk of dehydration, electrolyte imbalance, and diabetic ketoacidosis during illness. And third one, the patient should avoid initiating therapy during respiratory illness. In this case, renal function should be carefully monitored for acute kidney injury. The GLP-1 inhibitors, we not recommend in patient with gastrointestinal symptoms or dehydration, because dehydration is likely to lead a serious illness, so patient should be closely monitored. We recommend the DPP-4 inhibitors and the alpha glucosidase inhibitor only to control postprandial blood glucose, and we not recommend the alpha glucosidase inhibitor in severe and critical patients or patients with gastrointestinal symptoms. For the pioglitazone, can be used during the process of the glucocorticoid treatments, but this regime should be adjusted according to the treatment effect, because there is a chance of volume overload and heart failure. So we also 50-50, we not recommended in these cases. Insulin, for the insulin therapy should not be stopped. Secondly, switch from oral to insulin. Use any regime for the premix, split mix, co-formulated or the basal bolus. If someone is already on the premix insulins, we advise to switch to split mix or the co-formulated or basal bolus. They use the same total. The unit should be the same as before. Regular self-monitoring, we advise regular self-monitoring of the blood glucose every 2 to 4 hours, and careful adjustment of the regular therapy if appropriate to teach the therapeutic goals according to diabetes levels. And finally, we also advise use NPH or long-acting insulin during steroid treatment to control glucose. If we summarize, for the type 1 diabetes, insulin pump or the basal bolus insulin treatment is the optimal regimes. Secondly, recommended insulin analogs as the first choice. Thirdly, insulin treatment regime shall be set in accordance with the principle of the individualization. In type 2 diabetes, for mild COVID-19 patients with low moderate glucose increase, non-insulin diabetes drug can be used. Second, for the patient with the fever that treated with glucocorticoids, insulin treatment is the first choice. For critical patients, insulin IV injection is recommended. For the glucocorticoid or the steroid-based treatments, insulin is the first choice. For the hyperglycemia pregnancy, in the early session, Dr. Faryabsan already describes briefly about the treatment protocols. In my presentation, I already give some highlighting points for hyperglycemia and pregnancy, including the GDB and diabetic pregnancy. So we encourage the patient to maintain all the COVID norms. Secondly, routine antenatal follow-up can be done by the respective gynecologist and diabetes management looked after by the diabetologist. Third one, during the delivery times, consult with the respective gynecologist, report to the designated hospital. And affected women, the GDM, diabetic pregnancy, may take a tablet azithromycin, 500 milligram daily for the 7 days. Like I have already mentioned about the hydroxychloroquine. So for this case, we also discourage or not recommended hydroxychloroquine in pregnancy. The hypertension and the COVID-19, the routine use of the ACE inhibitor and ARB to treat the raised blood pressure should be continued, should not be influenced by the concern about the COVID-19 infections. And the second one, limit or avoid non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs or the decongestants, especially if blood pressure is uncontrolled. And third one, the people taking medication for the mental health, corticosteroid, oral birth control pills, or immunosuppressants or some cancer medication should monitor blood pressure to make sure it is under control. The last tables in my presentation, so I also give some information, the concern for the people with diabetes in using proposed therapeutic agent for COVID-19. So the first one is the chloroquine hydrochloride. It's because it causes the hyperglycemia, prolonged QT intervals, or arrhythmia will not discouraged. For the antiviral or lopinavir or the letrozole, it's caused the hyperglycemia. So it's deteriorating the glycemic controls and it has the interaction with the statins. For the glucocorticoids, it causes the hyperglycemia and susceptibility to secondary bacterial infections. Remdesivir, it's caused the hepatotoxicity. So when the people with diabetes are under with this kind of treatments, the physician should be concerned on these issues. I've already mentioned about the guidelines. The good things is this is the synopsis or the outlines already published. It's just been published in the Journal of Diabetology the 3 days back. So this is the good outcome of our programs. And not only the treatment or the guidelines, we also develop some activities. So this is one of the activities. It is a joint initiative of the Diabetic Association and the Ministry of Health, Novo Nordisk and the JICA. The platform known as the COVID-19 and diabetes, our initiatives. So we are doing a lot of the things. We already developed online portals. So people with diabetes and the other general peoples and the healthcare professional will get all the information related to the COVID-19, diabetes, hypertension, all the things they will get in online portals. And we already developed some online education course, one in Bangla and one is in English one for the healthcare professionals, and the Bangla one for the rest of the health professionals, general people with diabetes. The good things, it is endorsed by the International Diabetic Federations, Ministry of Health, and the ICT Ministry, and the A2I. And this program is already linked by the access to information of the Ministry of ICT Ministry. Not only that, we also developed two helplines. One is the Ibrahim helplines and other is COVID and diabetes helplines. So people can get information around the clocks 24 hours. And we also already trained 12 doctors, and they are placed and they will take the calls whenever the people seek help. So finally, the take-home message. The routine diabetes care will be significantly impacted during the pandemics. Second, the management should be followed standard sick day rules along with the proper modifications, the drugs and the insulins. And there may be a specific consideration of other density along with diabetes. Thank you. Thank you to all the organizers and Diabetic Association of Bangladesh for giving me opportunity to present my presentations in this platform.